Men, and I use the term loosely, of course. Welcome to day 3 of the 58XL rebuild. If you haven't watched the first 2 videos, go ahead and watch them. Anyway, we're done with the cams, the oil pump, the flywheels, the cases are assembled, motor mount is on, and we're moving on. One of the things I like to get done is I like to get the drain holes plugged up. And I can put the plugs in, turn the motor over, and when you put the cylinders and everything on there, it gets heavier. It's not as easy to deal with. So I like to get these drain holes plugged while I can. Just FYI, this is what Harley would have you use to seal the holes up. And here's a plug. And this gadget is designed to fit over the shoulder on the plug. And in theory, I guess it's okay. In practicality, they don't work too good. The brass is kind of hard. It doesn't easily conform to the crankcase. The drain plug hole frequently gets chowdered up because the top thread breaks out, and yeah, I could fix that and weld it in and yada yada, but it's going to break out again. The trouble being is that this washer, sealing washer, really doesn't have a lot of surface area, and when you break a little bit of metal off of here, there's even less surface area. What I prefer to use is a copper washer. It's big, it's flat, it should cover the whole area easily. We'll put a little sealant on it. The trouble with these is the washer doesn't stay located on the center of the plug. So we're going to run these out to the lathe, and I'm going to cut a little shoulder on here just the same size as the washer so that it'll stay centered up on there and do a better job of sealing. Chucking the drain plugs up and getting them to run true is a little bit of a trick, but you fiddle with it a little bit, you get them pretty straight. I use a parting tool just to make the shoulder the same size as the washers. The one thing you got to really be careful of is to make sure that the shoulder is thinner than the washers are tall. You want the washer to be compressed before the shoulder bottoms out on the crankcase. So why would this one pick up more heat faster than the ones around it? There's always a couple when I do a batch that are like that. I don't get it. One batch of freshly annealed and pickled in vinegar and salt sealing washers, ready to go. And hopefully that'll never come out again. Same treatment, we'll put a little under the head. When I twist the washer around, it'll smear it around all over there. Put some on the washer. Put some on the threads. And I think that'll keep her sealed up. Alright, if you've seen my videos before, you probably have seen this. Everything in the bottom end of the motor is hooked up. Oil pump, cam gears, etc., etc. So I put a little oil in the supply line bubbles come up out of there. And I'm going to stroke the engine until oil wells up in the ports that go to the rocker boxes. I could already see the oil going down in the funnel. This one is taking the prime exceptionally quick. And this is why I wanted to get the drain plugs in the bottom, because when I do this, there's going to be some oil in the bottom of the crank that of course is going to leak all over everything. Now hopefully it's going, yeah, here we go. Okay, it's starting to come up right now. I'm going to plug these two holes. Plug these two holes. That's going to force the rest of the oil into the crankshaft. And I'll just pump it until the oil is drained out of the tube. And you should be able to see it going down pretty quickly. And I can indeed see oil coming out around the connecting rod. So this engine is primed now, so when it gets started for the first time, it just gives it a better chance that there's going to be quicker circulation. Okay, this is interesting, and by interesting I mean a problem. This lifter binds just a little bit, and this lifter doesn't move at all. What that tells me is that and I could see a little bit of a gap right here. So the base of this lifter is not parallel to the crankcase, and when I tighten the ear down on it, it's binding the lifter a little. Let's loosen this up. Let's loosen this up and see if the problem went away. See, it did go away. So there's something wrong with the base of this lifter, and there's something wrong with the base of this lifter. The front ones are fine. Let's take this out and see if we can figure out what's going on. This one had a tiny piece of shit right here that kept it from going down all the way. I think that'll fix this one. And of course it tore the O-ring on the way in. Bastard. Okay, put a new O-ring, clean the piece of shit out. This one works fine now. Let's pop this one out and see what's up. Hopefully it's the same kind of a thing. I may run a hone through this one just a little bit more. Alright, let's see how we made out this time. Oh, perfect. Good deal. Good deal. I run into it more on the engines with the aluminum lifter blocks. They tend to fit tighter in the case, and when they do, they kind of pinch the lifter a little bit. So it's more common to find binding on the later ones with the aluminum lifters. Anyway, this is good. Alright, we're up to cylinders and pistons. Once again, while waiting for the cases to come back, these were bored. I didn't check the rings, so I'm going to check the rings now. Gap's supposed to be between 10 and 20. My experience has been is that if you bore the cylinder the right size, the gap will come in just fine. Perfect. That one looks a little fat to me. That's just about perfect. And that one looks a little fat too. You know, that's just about perfect too. Alright, good. The owner provided the Pistons, and he happened to find some new old stock HD Pistons from somewhere or another. Okay, this is the front. Same drill. That's good. Yeah, that one's a little loose. Well, obviously if the 20 goes in. Oh no, wait, that was the 10. This is the 20. Okay. Yeah, and the 20 is snug. So, okay, that one's perfect. Okay, and the 20 won't go in, but the 10 does, so perfect. Okay, these Pistons did come with pins, but these are not the pins that they came with. The pins that came with them were rusty. And this is a set of NOS HD piston pins. Just kind of giving them a feel here. I think they're going to be fine. So let's put some clips in there. Ooh, I hope I have some clips. Alright, the clips that came with it are rusty, so they match the pins. Getting rid of those. And I have some new ones here. And these are the spiral lock type. The guy will learn to keep a bag of these laying around after you launch one across the shop trying to put it in and you don't have any more. Just noticing right now that neither one of these pistons has the cutout for the intake valve. So it doesn't really matter which way they go in. Alright, so let's put a piston on. Doesn't take much, that should do it. Okay, good. And that's why I put one clip in, so I could shove the piston in and the bottom's on the other side. I know it's in all the way. That should do it. Uh-oh, stuck. Son of a bitch. I could only assume I got that one started a little off kilter and it got stuck. Anyway, it's in there now. Alright, we're ready to drop a piston on, and yes, I did put the clips in on both pistons. The gaskets are all on. So let's get it ready. We'll stagger the rings. I did pour some oil in the cylinder and smear it around. Beautiful. Alright, same drill on this one. We'll oil her up. Stagger the rings. Okay, cylinder's oiled up. That should be good. Beautiful. And as usual, check everything for smoothness of rotation. Beautiful. This is nice. Really nice. Immensely satisfying. You know, this is the part of engine rebuilding I really like. The hard part is done. At this point, it's usually just a matter of assembly. So we're going to assemble some heads on this. Alright, we're going to pop a head on there. Just FYI, this owner bought one of the Colony reproduction bolt sets. And those bolt sets do include head bolts. However, I am reusing the HT head bolts because once, 6 years ago, I was installing some Colony head bolts and one of them snapped off before it reached torque. You know, is that excessive? I don't know. I've installed many heads since then. However, I've never used the Colony head bolts. I go back with the stock HT. I just don't trust them anymore. Much like that Eastern sprocket shaft that snapped off at the threads. I'll never use one of those again. You know, was that 1 in 1,000 out of a bad batch? Who knows? But you know, once you can't trust something, you can't trust it. And, you know, this engine is 3/4 of the way done. You know, I snap a head bolt off in there, it's all on me. You know, taking a cylinder off, drilling it out, Healy coil, whatever it takes to get the broken head bolt out of there. And hopefully you can get it out without a big deal, you know? You just don't know. So anyway, HT head bolts going back in. Don't trust Colony head bolts anymore. So let's pop a front head on there. The owner bought and paid for the Colony head bolts. And I will be, of course, giving them to him along with, you know, the leftover parts, whatever leftover parts are from this engine. And if he wants to take a chance putting those in, good for him. That way, if he snaps one off in there, it's all on him, not on me. And then he could send me the cylinder down here and I'll get to charge him separately for extracting the broken head bolt and repairing the threads if need be. And of course, as with all of the other threaded holes on this engine, the threads in the cylinder have been chased, as are all the threads in the head. And I don't know, 3 months ago I did a video about exhaust spigot repair. That is on the rear head, the rear exhaust on this engine. There's also some braze repairs here and there to cracks. So yeah, it's, you know, when it comes time for final assembly, it's good to have all that stuff done so all you're doing is assembly. And of course, we'll torque these up. And that's that. Heads are on. Rocker boxes next. All right, we're going to do a quick and dirty transmission assembly over here, I hope. This thing has been in and out of the case a couple of times, checking the end play on the shafts. I think I've got it where I want it right now, so we're going to grease it up, put it together for hopefully the final time. Got your counter shaft. This is hollow. There's a hole right here on this chunk of metal. Oil drips in there, collects in there, comes out of this pointy doodad down in the bottom of this here, and from there it goes into here. The shaft is hollow and it comes out here and lubricates the counter shaft low gear. It sits on the shaft right there. But anyway, what I like to do is put the counter shaft together first. So, slob it up with some grease. You know, I do a lot of engines and transits, and you never know, you know, how long something like this might sit around until the, you know, owner has it in the end, you know, in a bike and it's running. So, you know, the grease is there almost as much to protect the bits and pieces as it is to help with protecting the parts upon initial startup. But anyway, lube up the shaft. This is the counter shaft second gear. Goes on there. Spacer. Counter shaft drive gear. There's a washer. Well, there's a washer that goes on first. Let's show you the washer. The washer's got a couple of teeth in it so that it can't rotate. Anyway, counter shaft second gear, counter shaft drive gear. This is the counter shaft second gear. Little grease on the end for the needle bearing, and we'll slip it in. I like to get the shifter fork in next. This is a +5 shifter fork. It had a stock shifter fork in it, but I needed to move it over a little bit to ensure engagement, so it ends up with the +5 in it. The sector should be in neutral, and let me show you how that works real quick. The easiest way to shift them is with a socket. This is first, this is second. This little notch in between here is neutral. Put it in neutral, and there you go. That's all there is to it. The next gear you put in is a main shaft gear, and I like to get grease down in the groove where the shifter fork is going to ride. There is no way to do this without getting messy. Get your shifter fork, make sure the top hat is on it. You got to kind of snake this up and in there. And then you can put your shifter fork shaft in. And it'll take some wiggling and jiggling. There we go. That's it. And then you got your main shaft, of course. This gear doesn't easily come off. It's got a washer and a snap ring holding it on. Once again, a little grease. As much for, protecting it from the elements as it is for protecting it from wear when you start it up. Main shaft goes in. You got to play with it to get it to align, and that went in easy. And there you go. That takes care of that. The next thing you put on is the main shaft drive gear, and onto that is where the first thrust washer goes, and then of course counter shaft low gear. That goes in here, and the counter shaft thrust washer goes in there. So this is ready to be installed. Let's see if it shifts gears. And I'll tell you, I forgot a washer. Forgot this washer. There we go. Alright, we'll go to first. And it's in. We'll go to second. I like to turn them so the dogs line up. Second. Once again, turning it to get the dogs to line up. Third. And then we'll get fourth to line up. And fourth. Really, this is a very sweet shifting trans, at least sitting here on the bench. Second, neutral, first. It's so smooth, I really almost don't feel it drop in. Neutral. Alright, this is ready to install. We got one seal to put in. Well, you know what we'll do first is we'll just grease up the teeth. You know, in a few rotations will get it spread around in there. This trans had a lot of rusty parts in it. Fortunately, the owner gave me most of 2 transmissions. Had previous caretakers greased it up any, it would have been a lot easier to resurrect this one. But anyway, ready to go. I got one seal to put in. I'll show you that, and then we'll install this, hopefully for the last time. Okay, this is the shifter shaft. And over the years, Harley has had many configurations of this thing. Some are brazed, some are welded, some are pinned, some might just be pressed. Anyway, this one was pinned, and when I was playing with it to see how it fit in the cases, I noticed it was loose on there. So a pin went in one side, came out the other side. Well, I knocked the pin out of there, cleaned everything up, chamfered this little arm and chamfered the shaft, and I put a drop of weld on over there, a drop of weld on over there, and welded it around here. So this thing is never coming apart again. But anyway, shifter shaft. Okay, here's where the shifter shaft goes through the case. And there's supposed to be a seal in there, and some of you might be laughing and saying, "Haha, stupid bastard, you forgot to put the seal in. Now you got to take the cam cover off." Actually, I didn't put the seal in on purpose, because when I was ready to put the cam cover on, is when I discovered that the shifter shaft was fucked up, and I didn't want to deal with it then. I wanted to deal with it later, so I put the cover on, knowing I had this tool. But anyway, here's the tool, half of the tool. You put your seal on the little arbor, you put that in the hole, and then you take this shaft right here, and it lines right up with the little arbor, and bingo. Seal installed, no reason to remove the cam cover. Alright, hope this works. Shifter shaft is in place. Needle bearing is in, roller bearings are not. Everything is set up on the trapdoor. Let's see if I could shove this in there and make it work. Oh, that was nice. That one went in easy. Alright, I got all 4 of the trapdoor bolts in. Let's see if it shifts gears. 1, neutral, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. That's pretty slick. 3, 2, neutral. Alright, good to go. Okay, this is always my scariest part of this operation. This is the original race that was just slightly lapped in the original main shaft. The rollers are long gone. This engine was disassembled when I got it, so who knows. But the question always gets to be, will the rollers fit without having to go in there and lap the race some more? I fucking hope so, because I sure don't want to take this all apart again. And I haven't tested them. Usually by this time I will have tested these. But I'm praying on dumb luck to get me through this time around. Getting close. Really getting close. One more. Ooh, nice. Not a bad day. Got pretty much everything done I wanted to get done. Yeah, get yourself a coffee cup, get yourself a sticker, buy some of my Amazon affiliate products, and we'll see you tomorrow. I am out of here.